follow your passion is a bullshit and don't do that. You find the times when I create and feel like I jump the furthest ahead is when I'm like riding the river and I know I'm supposed to be on this river.
Had the job and the life I was in Tampa not been as like overwhelming and stressful, I wouldn't have moved to Hawaii. Had that job not been as bad as it was, it wouldn't have been so easy for me to just be like, I'm done. I'm walking away. I need to figure out like what I really want at my core. But it's like trusting the journey and like not like what you said earlier, not holding on so tightly, like being able to roll with the punches. I always have gratitude for whatever's happening, even when it's a challenge, because I know that it's a redirection.
You land, you've got bags, you start sort of acclimating to, to living in Hawaii. You get set up, you start doing some work, but then how do you jump from there to Miss Hawaii? Hi.
Aloha.
You're here. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I have a sneaking suspicion you're warmer than I am. I am so cold these days. I think it's been in like the tens or, it's been like 14 degrees, So
Oh, no, thank you.
I know. I am looking forward. I'm coming out in April, so at least I can warm up a little bit. So
Oh my God, I know. Even in Florida, where I moved here from, like my dad's been saying it's freezing.
So yeah, so bad. Well, thank you for coming on and for taking the time. So I'm excited to dive in, especially with 6 Degree Soul and your founder journey. What I'd love to do is kind of back up a little bit and I'd love to hear the sort of background leading up to diving into your own venture and sort of paving your own way. You grew up in Florida. That's right.
I actually grew up in New York on Long Island.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I know the
from
cold.
Florida? Yeah, exactly.
No, born and raised in New York, and then I moved to Florida, and I lived there for 17 years before I moved to Hawaii.
Okay. Nice.
Going warmer and warmer, better temperatures.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're just going to go straight to the equator.
I don't know where else I can go. There's nowhere better than Hawaii, as you know.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's cool. So, New York to Florida. And then what was your school education background and then into kind of early years of work?
I studied economics and finance. I had no idea what I was going to do with it. I had kind of like a slew of customer service jobs, working my way up the ranks, doing different things. I worked for Walgreens as an assistant manager. I worked for Hartford Insurance. I worked for a defense contractor in procurement. And then the bulk of my career, I was in sales. I sold advertising to car dealerships for 8 years. And then moved up to being a sales manager, sales director. And that was kind of what I was doing before I decided to do my own thing, which was a dream of mine forever.
Amazing. So what was that like? Was it a time period or a moment or like when did you start to feel like you wanted to do something different, make a transition, sort of go in a different direction? Was there a moment or was it a period of time?
There was a whole time. The entire time I would say after year like 1 or 2 of being in sales, once I was performing and then I was making a lot of money, it was like, okay, this isn't fulfilling me. And I just stayed with it because I didn't know what else I wanted to do. And it's like, once you're making a certain level of income, it's kind of hard to leave that. And everybody that I was around at the time was just like all about just work and hustle and stay in the grind. And that's not the way I wanted to live my life, but I didn't really know any other options until I came to Hawaii.
Nice. So what was the impetus for moving to Hawaii?
I was just feeling very lost, confused, stuck, stagnant in my life. Like I felt like I knew everybody and everything in Tampa. I was stuck in this career that I was sucking my soul out of me. I was drinking all weekend. It was like the same. And I wanted to move for a long time, and I've never felt like there was the right place after traveling all over the world. Like I was always ready to like get back. And I came out here on vacation in 2022 and I was just like, I fell in love. It was spoke to my heart and soul. And that was like, all right, this is time for a change.
That's amazing. So it really spoke to you to be like, did you come back and you were like, all right, I know what I'm doing. Goodbye. Like you start packing
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Like,
I came on that vacation. It was my birthday in 2022 and I like day 2 I was like I'm moving here. Like I'd never felt that strongly about anything in my whole entire life. Like I mean
where have
nothing.
you been all my life? Hawaii.
Yes. And I wanted to come out here my whole life. It was my dream bucket list vacation and I finally it was just so far from the East Coast, so expensive. I never had the time off and then yeah, like once I had the money to do it, I was too busy working and I finally just made it happen and it was like yeah, I'm meant to be and I knew it in my heart and soul and I came back from that vacation that's all I could think about. I mean, like so radically obsessed. Like I literally nothing in my life has ever been this strong of a pull. Nothing like to this
Nice.
day.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I came back. I applied for every single sales job out here. I came out here actually with another sales job. Did that for a year, and yeah, I got an offer within a month of being back from that vacation. And 3 months later, I packed up everything and left.
Oh my gosh. I love those moments. And I love what you were saying about that voice being that voice and that pull being so strong. Those are the best when it just something burrows into your mind and you cannot shake it and you cannot get rid of it. And it just feels like one of those that you've tapped into something that you're supposed to, go
Yeah.
down. That's like, do you feel like, and we'll jump to sort of what you do now, but like, do you feel like you've gotten better at that in terms of listening, or do you feel like that was also just so loud it was unavoidable?
Oh yeah, I've gotten way better. I used to ignore my own inner voice and just do what society told me, do what my friends, do what my parents. Like I was just kind of a product of who I was around, and now my whole Hawaii trip has been, or life has been, okay, who do I want to be? How do I want to create my life? And solely doing things that bring me joy. Like I don't care if I have to say no to other people. I put up boundaries and yes, I'm very, very aligned with my heart and soul. Hawaii's been a huge catalyst for change and personal growth for me.
Nice. That's amazing. Um, so you came out, you started working, and then let's jump ahead a little bit to I want to jump straight into Miss Hawaii. How did that come to be? Like
Oh
what
my
was
goodness.
you land, you got bags, you start sort of acclimating to living in Hawaii, you get set up, you start doing some work, but then how do you jump from there to Miss Hawaii?
Well, I did that sales career for a year. I realized it was equally as stressful as everything I was doing on the mainland. And I was like, I did not move to an island in the middle of the Pacific to be just as stressed out as I was on the East Coast.
Right. But just a little warmer. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm done. And I realized like so many people that I was surrounded by here were more about just enjoying like, I look out the window, the ocean's right there. Like enjoying the simple things in life, appreciating nature, slowing down. And it was a whole different mindset shift. So I took a leap of faith. Like to me, this was even bigger leap of faith than moving to Hawaii, like on a whim. And I just completely left corporate America with nothing else lined up. And I was just like, I need a break. I'm so burnt. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how burnt out I was for many, many years. And not just from work, like athletics, school, just everything. I was always going like full throttle
Yep.
for the first 35 years of my life and didn't know any other way of living until I came here and I, you know,
You
you know,
live in fifth gear though. I mean, like with your hustle and you're like, and you know what I mean? And obviously we met on hiking and I know you're hiking because like
Mhm.
I'm back, like I should have walkie talkies. Like I'm back there and you're just like getting it. Um, did it feel though that like in the transition when you got there and you started kind of was part of the getting burnt out, like taking that fifth gear into I'm gonna get set up, and so you dove into like way too many things, or was it like
No,
what was kind of
the career was really killing me. The job was really hard. I took a new sales career. It was a new position, new company, new industry for me. I was working with people on the mainland, so they were sending me back and forth to New Jersey. I was jet lagged. So I was just like, I had already been burnt out in what I was doing from working way too much, too many hours, like just being on call all the time. You know how it is in sales or when you run your own
Hmm.
business, you're just always on. And coming here, it was just like, this isn't why I came here. I didn't come here to be my head in a computer all the time. There's no point of living in the most expensive, beautiful place in
Yeah.
the world if that's all you're gonna do. So when I and you know what? I see everything as like I ended up hating that job. That was the worst boss I ever had who made me feel like crap about myself. But I'm so grateful for it because had the job and the life I was in Tampa not been as like overwhelming and stressful, I wouldn't have moved to Hawaii. Had that job not been as bad as it was, it wouldn't have been so easy for me to just be like, I'm done. I'm walking away. I need to figure out like what I really want at my core. So like, yeah, Hawaii made me happy, but like, what do I want to be doing? What's my purpose? What am I selling? What am I on the day to day? You know, what am I bringing to the world? And from quitting that job led to like about a year and a half sabbatical. I thought it was going to be like 3 to 6 months, but I was just, yeah, I did end up taking my sales career and putting it into my social life for like the first 6 months. I was hiking all day, every day. I had yoga. I had, you know, volleyball. I had a party. Like, you know how it is in Hawaii. There's so
Yeah.
much to do, so many cool people
Yep.
to hang out with. So I took my hustle life and moved it into my social life. And I didn't ever know how to slow down, how to just be, how to sit with my feelings, how to like process it. Like that wasn't in my system. So
Yeah.
toward toward the end of this sabbatical, after I realized I was also burning myself out just in relaxing because it wasn't really
Same.
relaxing anymore, I
Yeah.
got yoga teacher certified in Bali. So about 2 years ago, March of 2024. And those 3 weeks were the most transformational 3 weeks of my entire life. And that's when I decided that I was actually never going to go back to corporate America. I thought this was going to be like a year off, have some fun, and I was going to go back to getting a sales job.
Yep.
So I was traveling as much as I could, thinking I'd never have this opportunity again. I'd never had this much freedom. And I was like, I can't ever go back to working for somebody else.
Yeah.
Um, and in that yoga journey is where I learned to like really clear out a lot of I don't even know how to explain it, like deep things that were traumas or deep rooted through
Yeah.
meditation. And as you know,
Yeah. A deep
meditation
cleaning
later,
of the basement. Like just
yeah,
getting all the old file boxes out and all the shit you don't need down there anymore. And like just making it like clean and opening space.
exactly, exactly. So meditation during that training was what really like changed me. And I decided during that journey I was going to write a book about kind of like sharing the Eastern world practices and yoga because all of these things were so profound to me. I had never heard
Hmm.
anything, and it was like, oh, you can accept yourself as you are. You don't have to be hard on yourself. You can do what your heart's. And I was like, these. Besides that, there's a whole science of yoga that leads to spirituality and higher path, and it's the alignment of the body, mind, and soul. And these were things I was not ever exposed to really other than doing physical yoga, but this was the philosophy and a way of life that was much healthier, balanced, and it just kind of changed the game for me. So I didn't even think I was going to be a yoga teacher at the time. I came back, I started teaching a little bit of yoga. I decided during that journey that I was going to write a book sharing like my story of transformation from chaos to clarity. And I also started working with a spiritual coach that I met there who helped me get in touch with like what does my higher self want on a soul level, and
Hmm.
actually leaning into doing that rather than being like, oh, I have to do what everybody else is doing. So fast forward to last year, I guess you'd say, I started my business in April of 25, and it was primarily a hiking tour business because I was just following my passion, and it's grown and evolved a little bit, and I'm still very new. But right after so you asked about Miss Hawaii, right after I like registered the business, essentially, I got nominated to run for Miss Hawaii, which was just like not something I ever planned to do ever. This was not like being a pageant girl wasn't an aspiration in my life, you know? It was
What's interesting to me is like pause right there and fast forward back to where you were saying like you were working and then like partying on the weekend and like repeating the same cycle in
oh
Florida.
yeah.
And then fast forward to getting nominated for Miss Hawaii is sort of like, I mean, it's not different chapters. This is like different like wings of the library. Like it's so interesting.
Oh, well, I forgot to mention I stopped drinking the day that I moved here. And
Yeah.
also I got off of all my prescription medications. I was on taking sleeping pills, Ambien every night to sleep. I was taking Adderall to wake me up. I was doing
Hmm.
all these things to like power me through a life that I didn't want to be living, essentially,
Right. Yeah.
to get me through. And that's just, again, what everybody was doing. So I didn't think it was weird, but looking at how unhealthy that is to hijack your natural systems of your body.
Totally. Using those moments as those big transformations, I did the same thing. I stopped smoking when I smoked rubber through my teen years and early 20s. When I moved to New York, on the flight up to New York, I was like, "No, I'm all done," and I never did.
That's
It's a
amazing.
it's amazing how you can use these big moments to just sort of take everything apart and be like, "Who am I
Exactly.
now?" So I love that. So you got nominated.
Yeah,
What?
so I got nominated. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into. Quite honestly, I thought like you just stand up there and look pretty, and it was a lot more time, money, and energy that was put into this. Like a lot of work. There's a lot more. You're not just standing up there. Like you got to learn to walk like a model. You got to sashay your hips a certain way. I mean, you are full glam makeup, certain dresses, certain swimsuits, kind of a particular, you have a platform that you stand for. Um, but my platform was sharing like the gift of yoga and spirituality and listening to your inner voice. So for me, as much as like pageantry, I don't think in a lot of ways was aligned with who I am at my core, which I found out as I was going through the process. Like I had gotten rid of all my heels and like nice dresses when I moved here because I was living a simpler life. I'm now like a barefoot yogi, like going around in
Right.
the mountains, and I'm a lot more grounded. And I personally don't believe that heels are good for you. They're actually bad for your body. And I learned this in yoga. So for me, it was like, what am I doing? But I decided to like stick it out. I thought, how great would it be to say, like, if I win, take a tour of Hawaii with Ms. Hawaii, like what cool
Right.
branding and stuff. And yeah, it was an interesting journey. And like you said, it was night and day. It was so many things so different, right? Like first I got a lot less materialistic when I came out here, and I got rid of all the noise and I got rid of all the clutter. And then all of a sudden I was going back into this world that was like so much about how you look and how you present yourself, when I'm in such a place more where I'm like aligned with my inner world and not really caring about external validation anymore and impressing other people. So it was this interesting like dichotomy of like what was happening in my life. And I'm like, how did I even end up doing this? Right.
Totally.
Cause I mean, you know me, I'm so like just like chill. I'm in colorful flowers. Like I'm like a laid back girl. I like to be out in the mountains. Like I wouldn't say I'm this girl that's like always wearing all this makeup and like, but I ended up getting really into meditation even deeper during this process. As you know, I think around the time
Hmm.
we met, I was studying or just gotten back from a Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat, which completely changed my life even more than Hawaii or like it's just been compounding over the last few years.
So give me the TLDR on that. Like, give me the like why. What's the core nuggets of what you sort of took from that into this next sort of chapter pre those retreats and post.
Yeah. So let's see. So Dr. Joe, I started studying his work online, and it was all about essentially like you're the creator of your reality. So when you go really inward and you tap into like the quantum field where you're nothing and everything, you can create whatever identity, whatever life that you want. And I decided to experiment with that because I was studying online for his first retreat I was going to attend in July of last year, which was 2 weeks after the pageant. So I had studied all the courses and you practice the meditations. And to be honest, I didn't even love his meditations at first because I didn't understand them. But once you like understand the science behind why it works, and then you know how to apply it and put it into practice, it's incredibly powerful. So I was using his meditation, which is called tuning into new potentials. And like essentially, you like kind of lose attachment with this human identity. You go out into space, you kind of like leave your body, you connect again to the field, to the void where anything is possible. And, you know, this is something that I've always believed that like we could do anything, but I did it from like a very 3D human perspective of controlling and having to like do everything myself and work really hard. When you tap into like the forces of the universe, which was something I was not at all connected to or aware of
Yeah.
before, when you like surrender, when you're kind of like aligned with your divine path, when you're letting the universe be the wind behind your back, that's when you tap into so much more. So I learned how to like kind of disidentify and truly manifest like from the quantum field. So doing his tuning into new potentials meditation, I was visualizing myself winning Ms. Hawaii. So my intention was to win the pageant. And then he teaches you how to like draw that in with elevated emotions, gratitude, awe, joy, excitement. And like so you put the intention out there with your brain, your pineal gland, the radio receiver that puts the signal out, and you draw it in with your heart, with the true feelings and emotions as if you like this is already happening and you live it in your head and you create that reality outside. So long story short, I go and do the pageant and I already knew I was going to win. It wasn't about like I'm better than anybody else. It was I created
Yeah.
this experience and I did and I cried about winning the pageant as if I had gotten crowned a week before. And everyone's always like, "What? This doesn't make any sense," because they don't understand the science behind it and how like true manifestation and the type of meditation you do with Dr. Joe isn't like your traditional mindfulness or like, you know, just like peace.
Yeah.
It's about creation and empowerment and aligning with that place in the field where these things are already happening. So he teaches people more even so about healing, which is kind of the real reason I got into it initially. In the past, I had been having like issues with insomnia, anxiety, depression. Mainly the insomnia was a big part of it, which I'll get to in a minute because I end up curing that through his retreats as well. But
Nice.
yeah, and then when I won the pageant, it was just like everything was already mentally rehearsed, so it all happened like clockwork on stage. Like it was and don't get me wrong, I practiced a
That's
lot too.
amazing.
You put in the effort,
Yeah.
you of course,
Yeah.
but like the belief and the connection to that reality before it happens is a very powerful tool.
Yep. No, totally. And I think the closest connection that I can have to this sort of exploration of whatever's out there in terms of math and science and unknown and physics and all the things is in 2024, mid that year after my mom had passed, I had gone on a mushroom journey,
Oh,
and I was in other dimensions, and like, but you could like you could almost physically feel. And I think it's so interesting, that idea of, I think what you're exploring there and what I was exploring, and everything in and around these areas of exploring what connects us and what is outside of us, is the antithesis of what I've been in and what you've been in, which is in Florida, same routine, right? Or in corporate job for me, and same routine. And you the time compresses, it goes by really fast because you're doing the same sort of things,
yeah.
and what you've done is come out to Hawaii and sort of then open to everything, and then
Yes.
even open wider to everything else. um and then it's amazing to see the sort of the physical, you know um versions of that come true
No.
after you
Yeah.
put them into practice, which is just amazing.
It's crazy. It is. No, I everything you said, it's so spot on. Like I was so living in a life that was so type A, planned out, controlled, like rushing. I didn't have time to connect to other realms, right? As silly as it sounds. But like once you open up to the unknown, there's like a whole new world of opportunities out there when we're not just like tunnel vision.
Yeah. So how does that experience, and then I'm sure between Miss White and then and your the the learning and exploration you've done with Dr. Joe's work, play into 6 Degrees Soul and like where you are after registering your business and beyond?
Yeah, so all that stuff, needless to say, like right when you start a business, probably wouldn't recommend going to run for your first tajik because it takes a lot of attention away from like the
Yeah,
getting the
exactly.
business set up. But nonetheless, I feel it was like a key part of my life journey because there's so many other things I want to do with this business and my own personal brand that having this Miss Hawaii title, I do think, again, while it's not like exactly aligned with me, I'm someone who's different and stands for being able to like show people that we can be anyone that we want at any point. One day you can be, hiking up a mountain in the mud. The next day you can be on a pageant stage, like winning and like look like a completely different person. Like we have
Yeah.
the ability to quantum shift like that. So that's I think that's like why I ended up doing this because a lot of times I questioned why I was doing it because I didn't like the process. Like instead of being out hiking, I was now walking in heels on the weekend inside a gymnasium, learning, like I said, how to stand properly. And I was like, this
Yep.
is so not me. But I think it gives me like a platform and credibility. And I'm writing a book, like again, sharing this whole journey and teaching other people how to do this because I know a lot of people feel stuck in the way that they're living. Um, I got right back into doing the tours. That's like the main leg of my business. I also teach yoga and I like will kind of hold different wellness and energy activation events about once a quarter. And I combine like all of this knowledge. I show people what I've manifested. I teach how to do this. I share Dr. Joe's work. I share yogic philosophy. I share about meditation and manifestation. I'm eventually going to be doing like life coaching programs. Again, this is all in the book. And a lot of my tours have now transformed instead of just being like your traditional hike tour, they're like VIP experiences where I'm curating them for whoever's coming to visit with their family. And not only that, they're almost getting like it's like a mini retreat day. Like,
Yeah.
especially when I'm one on one with a client, it's almost turns into like a nature life coaching session. And they're always leaving
Yeah.
very like inspired. And they're like, oh my God, your whole story is like you left corporate to like live your dream and I truly am living a dream beyond my wildest dreams right now in paradise. And like all of these things, if you would have told me 4 years ago, I never would have thought I'd be living in Hawaii. I never would have thought I'd get out of corporate. I thought I was going to work a corporate sales job until I was 65. I'd be miserable. I'd live for the weekends. And now I'm passionate about what I do every single day. And that's like my personal mission is to empower and inspire people to believe in infinite possibilities. Because if I can do it, like anybody can do it. Like it, and that's what Dr. Joe teaches, which is why I've become such a student of his work. He's really like brought unity. He takes like religion out of it. He brings science into it. It's all about like being your own conscious creator of your dreams.
And I think it's so interesting, and I try and do this too. Ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to lead many lives, and I think I've done that in different ways. And I think you and I are similar in that way, where it's almost like the search to be able to like erase or get rid of or have detachment to then sort of open yourself for possibilities, and then take in what works and sort of experiment on that and see what
Yeah.
works for this mode, for this model, and then also be able to sort of take things away and put things back in. I think you get so much richer when you do that versus like really clutching on to this like idea of who
Yes.
this person is and clutching that so tight. So I love it. I love the journey, and I love that you're helping other people kind of see that through your journey. I imagine how much more rich it must be to the people that you take on tours and that you sort of personally show Hawaii in your own way with your own point of view, versus just booking a Groupon tour of someone's like, okay, over here we have a
Yeah.
waterfall,
That's
you
what a
know?
lot of people are like. They go on these big tour buses and they're packed and it's in and out. And it's like
Yeah.
a truly personalized experience with all my favorite places that have brought me, the magic and have changed my life. And it's just like such a blessing to be able to share this with other people and make their vacation memorable.
That's amazing. What do you see, like, if you had to fast forward 6 months, 12 months, like what are you imagining, or are there things that you are also putting intention out for where you want things to go, and in terms of the company?
Yeah, well, things have already shifted a lot. It's funny. I already have people asking me, like, when I say what I do, they're like, "Can I work for you?" Because right now it's just me, and
Yeah.
obviously there's a limited capacity to the number of people I can tour on my own. So eventually, I think I'll have people working under me and, like, growing that. I can have, like, I like to keep them smaller, personalized tours. I don't see myself doing like the big tour buses, but I've already added a new facet of line of business, if you will, this year. I'm hosting my first two retreats, which has been something I've always wanted to do. So in August, I'm having a women's wellness retreat here on Oahu. And
Hmm.
it's like, again, this is something I've always dreamed of doing, is taking people traveling and adventuring. But years ago, I remember talking about this and it was like, oh, I can never make enough money doing that. I can never do, like, there was just this like other mentality I had, that like I had to do things a certain way. I had to stay in corporate. I had to like make X amount.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you're going to take maybe a hit the first year because you're growing things and you're building the business. But this is now, I guess, not fully year two, but like the second calendar year.
Hmm.
And I'm already having a bunch of return tour clients that now, not only am I doing like 1 or 2 days, I'm booking a whole week with them where I'm planning their whole vacation. I'm acting as a travel agent. So that's expanded. I'm like part of their family. And then
Yeah.
I've launched the tours now. So I just, again, had this idea for a while. And what you were saying, it takes a little bit of everything I love. I get to teach meditation. I get to teach yoga. I get to teach manifestation. I get to curate a cool experience for a group of people, and I get to share my story and inspire. So that's what I'm doing with the women's one. It's like a small 7-person retreat. I have a beautiful house here on Oahu. I rent it out, and I'm taking, all the best things that I love, and it's called The Nature of You. And it's for women that want to kind of go down the path that I did and like clear out the noise. I always say that like my mind here feels as clear as the ocean and the sky. I always look out there because I have my dream place on the water. And
Nice.
it's like I bring people to nature and remind them of their power and how to connect with that. So I get to incorporate everything that I love and that can help somebody else, like, walk that path on their own journey. And then, so I'm super stoked about that retreat. Like I said, that I get to like really share my home and my essence with people and bring them into it. And then I am partnering with another breathwork facilitator, and we're co-hosting a retreat in Bali, which is at this beautiful hotel in Ubud. And that's in October. And it's called Bali Island of the Gods, Manifest Magic. And it's a much more spiritual, like diving into the Balinese culture, spirituality, manifestation, kind of more of that energetics that we're talking about.
Hmm.
We're using a lot more like in that some shadow work and breath work, and combining it with the like the land there and the culture and their traditions. And yeah, that's going to be at Soulshine in October, and it's another incredible retreat. That one is co-ed. So, and now I get to collaborate with another really great partner. She's also studied with Dr. Joe Dispenza. So it's such a dream. Like these things, I'm just like following whatever excites me and that I know will help other people too.
I think that's the best way to. I think people get it wrong when you get people shooting down the, like, they're like, don't follow your passion is bullshit, and you shouldn't, don't do that. You got to just like, do this or whatever. And I find the times when I create and make the most progress and feel like I jump the furthest ahead is when I'm in this, like, I'm like riding the river and I know I'm supposed to be on this river and I'm in this big raft. I'm like, yeah, like you're just like getting it. And I feel like that's the antidote also for the anxiety and the depression and all those sort of things. When you feel like you're on the right river,
Mhm.
and even if the rapids are fast, you're like, let's do this. I love that, and I love how you can already see what you have done so far is leading into a bigger, more expanded version of your vision. How would you say, like, from a business perspective, have you thought about when people start, you bring people onto the team and you start expanding, because I imagine at some point tours and retreats and other things like that. Have you thought about how you'll capture and protect the essence of the culture and the philosophies and principles that you bring to it right now, which is at its most core essence? When you expand the team out, how you sort of keep those things in place?
So I'm a big believer in the law of attraction. That's like why we're friends. Like everything that I do is staying true to my center and my true north and like what I want to do now. And I'm very quick, like on a personal journey, I've been much quicker to like draw boundaries and cut out people that aren't aligned. Like, and that's been a big part of my whole just like personal growth and where I'm at in business, of course, you know.
Hmm.
I'm not just like following the crowd or following what people tell me to do. So because I do so much like, inner work all the time, I'm always staying true to myself. I believe that I align with the right people. So I'm very conscious of like when I do start hiring, it's only going to be people that are like believe in the mission and are doing the same thing, that are always working towards their own growth, and that like it's all about connection and unity. And that's like what this whole
Hmm.
business is about, is connecting people, enjoying life, bringing your passions forward. So I think it's just like hiring the right people based on their values and who they are. And I can I can read energy really well too now. Like I'm very
I
intuitive.
was about to ask. I bet you're a high empath.
Yeah,
I bet you, like, do you feel the radio signals within seconds of like being around and interacting with people?
oh yeah, like I'm very extroverted, but because of I merge so easily with people and my environments, I also have to have like big downtime after like being at retreats or doing things. So like even these retreats are planned 2 months apart. At first I was thinking about doing them back to back and I was like, no way. Like I'm gonna need to reset. But I'm really good at reading energy, and I like listen to my intuition when it comes to just everything, people, places, activities, things. And ultimately, like again, this is me and my soul in a business. Like it's not just, I'm not doing this to make money. Of course I'm doing this to make money, well, somewhat, but like that's not the driving force. It's because I want to share. Like when I say it was like I didn't even get into it. It was really dark for a long time, on and off, like I said, cycles of not just burnout, but like, I mean, what is the point of life? Kind of like existential
Hmm.
crisis. And I really feel like I've tapped into I like understand, at least from my perspective, understanding it. And I want to share that with more people. So like one of my bigger, longer term goals as well is like I've been writing a book for about a year and a half, and I'm finishing that this year. And then eventually I see myself like speaking on bigger stages about this stuff, which is kind of like what the pageant was an introduction
Hmm.
to. And I'm also going to start my own podcast, which is something I've wanted to do. So it's just all like bringing it all full circle, and how can we share more of this journey and the magic and allow other people to know. It's like the more I've leaned into being authentic to me and like not just following the herd or staying in the matrix, the happier I've become, the more opportunities that have aligned for me. And it's like so many people have, Dr. Joe picked up my story on his stories of transformation as well. So it's been exposed to millions of people, like how I manifested winning Ms. Hawaii, like that. And I had people come up to me at the next retreat I attended of his, which was last month, and they were just like, you inspired me. Oh my God. So it's just like it I don't even think of any of this stuff as that big of a deal. But then when I realized like how quickly I've changed, I'm like, I'm not even the same person that I was a year ago. And that's what I stand for, like showing people that we can consciously create our lives. We can live a dream beyond our wildest dreams. You just have to like really be in tune with your inner world and listen to that, and just follow your path, not just kind of listen to what the world tells us because we should be doing things at a certain place or age or time.
Yeah, totally. I love that. And I'm gonna make sure we'll have a stack in the show notes of the show, and we'll have all of your socials and 6 degrees, but also anything. We'll put cards in there for the retreats, and then if there's any way that somebody can sign up for the newsletter to hear about the book when it's ready,
Sure.
and any future would be awesome. Um, this is so much fun. If you had one parting thing to tell someone in transport yourself back before your birthday trip to Hawaii and you're in Florida, if anyone that's in that space, in that place that's listening, what would you go back in time and tell that person?
Mm, just trust the process because everything on your journey is part of what's meant to be. I believe that we all, as souls, chose our path before we came here. And that's something I remind myself a lot of now. Like, sure, life still gets stressful, you know. It's just because I'm running my own business doesn't mean it's yeah, it's what I want, but there's plenty of factors. But it's like trusting the journey and like not like what you said earlier, not holding on so tightly. Like being able to roll with the punches. I always have gratitude for whatever's happening, even when it's a challenge, because I know that it's a redirection or
Yep.
it's like pointing me another way or trying to show me something that I need to work on. So I'm a big believer
Amazing.
in like adapting a gratitude practice and just, always trusting that everything happens for a reason.
Amazing. I love it. Cool. Well, and we'll get to see each other in April,
Yeah.
which is amazing. And thank you so much for the time.
Thank
And I
you.
love
I
this.
appreciate it.
This is great.
I
Hang
got
on
to
for a minute and we'll
interview
catch
you for
up.
my show next time.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get it set up.
All right.
Awesome.
Aloha.